Hello and welcome to another edition of Exotic Gardening UK Yorkshire Kris Weekly. Back in this part of the garden that I showed a few weeks ago now that we're clearing, and in that time the Persicaria has been hit by frost, but it's grown back really strongly, and as you can see it's grown already about 30-40 centimetres in this area, and I've been digging it all up from this area in front of me and around the Trachycarpus nova palm as well, where it's been growing very strongly, and it grows quite shallowly, so I can just use this hack here, cut through the roots and then get rid of those, and then hopefully the ground will be clear for some plants that I can put in. And it will grow back very easily, it's very forgiving, but I do need to remove all parts of the brittle stem, otherwise it will reroot even just from a small piece like that. So I'm going to grow quite a few plants here. I'm going to grow a couple of Beschenarias. Now this one's Beschenaria septentrionalis, and this is a smaller, more unusual Beschenaria, and it has huge red flowers when it does flower. But it is monocarpic, so when the actual rosette flowers, that rosette dies, but hopefully by that time there's lots of other rosettes to take its place. Now this one, as you can see, has got a bit of a fungal infection. It's got this brown spots on it, so I will cut off the worst leaves, and hopefully once it's in the ground a bit more resilient, it will grow through that stage. I'm going to plant this in this area. And I'm also going to plant an aloe in this area, and I'm going to dig up this. This is a Persicaria again, this is Red Dragon, and it gets too tall for this area, so this will be removed and planted somewhere else. And unlike the Persicaria Purple Fantasy over here, this stays more or less as quite a tight clump. As you can see, that's been in a couple of years, 3 years I think now, and it's only 25-30 centimetres across. This Persicaria covered this full bed, which is several metres across, in 3 or 4 years, so there's a big difference there in the spreadability of these Persicarias. Right, it's time to get planting. So I've cleared this bit of ground now, and it's really good soil, keeps on hold of lots of moisture, very free draining though as well, so it's like the perfect soil. And under here, down about 30 centimetres or less, is just rock and stone for a good metre or so, so it's very free draining underneath but keeps the moisture at the surface, which is ideal. So I'm just going to plant this Beschenaria. As you can see, it's got a decent root run on there, got some fertiliser in there as well, and it's in quite a stodgy compost. Just shake a little bit of that off, and then I'm just going to get my fork here and just dig a hole quite close to the edge. And the good thing about these Beschenarias, unlike agaves, is that the end of the leaves are not spiky, they're very soft, so it doesn't hurt your hands if you brush past them or your legs. Now in this hole, believe it or not, I've actually got roots, and these roots are actually from the Trachycarpus palm over there. So it's definitely established well as that palm and going out in all directions. So I'll just make my hole and then plant that here, backfill with the compost and the soil, press in firmly, and then I'll give that a good water when I finish planting up this bed. And another thing I'll do is remove the worst of these leaves that have been affected by this fungus, and I'll also give it a spray of this fungicide, fungus fighter, once I've finished. Right, on to the next plant. And the next plant I'm going to put in this area is quite unusual. It's a Trachycarpus Gemini sectus, which is a pretty rare palm. It's extremely slow growing. So this one is around 10 years old. As you can see, what's 30 centimetres at best in all directions. I've got one of these planted out already that's been in the ground for nearly 4 years now, and it's doing fine, but it's extremely slow. 1 leaf a year is good. Anything more than that, 1.5 to 2 years, is very good. This is in great condition, this specimen. It's really nice and green with a sort of glaucous white underneath to the newest leaves that fades to pale green. And this definitely likes a sort of in place with lots of heat to grow really well. So in this area it does get full sun for most of the year, and this soil has got lots of nutrition in, and it's very free draining but holds onto the moisture, so it should be ideal. And this palm doesn't get big. It will eventually get big as maybe a metre tall, but that's probably, it could be 20-30 years, we don't know. It's not been grown for that long in the West, so we'll see how big it does get. But because it's really small and slow growing, it can go in this spot and it will make an impact, but it won't overbear other plants. It won't get too big too quickly. So, and it's a nice spot to actually see this rare palm up close as well at the front of this border. So I'm going to dig a hole and plant it. Now, the last couple of weeks we talked about the hardy aloe, which is Aloe striatula, but this week there's another aloe I want to talk about, which is also hardy, and this is Aloe aristrata, and it grows a very sort of stumpy rosette, a bit like a sempervirem, and they are hardy. So I'm going to plant these here. They've got good roots, so in these small ones the roots go a long way to search out water, and quite fleshy roots as well. So I'm going to plant these in this area where they get a lot of sun, and hopefully they'll thrive in this well-drained soil. So it doesn't take much to plant these at all, so I can just make a little hole, almost use my hands, and just plant the rosette like so, firm around the base. Not got many roots on these larger ones, but they will root, and the roots will go pretty deep, and these eventually will form a very nice clump here, and they flower every year once established, so they'll have nice yellowy orange flowers, and they'll rise above the plants up to here and will be a really nice show in summer. So I'm just going to plant the rest of them here, spaced out a bit so that they can clump up and make a nice mat of rosettes in the years to come. And the final plant today that I'm planting in this bed is another Beschneria, and this is Beschneria eucoides, and this will grow pretty big. So it'll cover this area and overlap onto the decking area come out towards the path a little bit. And I've got one planted in another part of the garden, which is much bigger than this one. And again, like the other Beschneria, it will die, the rosette will die once it flowers, but lots of other rosettes will hopefully replace it and cover this area that's in full sun. So that's the planting done in this bed for today. You may remember from last year and from the beast from the east, there was one palm casualty in the garden that we tried to see if it was alive, and that was this Brea edulis that looked dead, to be honest, by Christmas 2018, 2017 should I say. And after the beast of the east, all the leaves had gone. I cut it down, hoped for some growth, but no growth has appeared. It's been over a year since it looked like it was dead. So it's come the time where I give up on this palm and I dig it up and plant something else in this space. I mean, as you can see on the palm, the roots are looking decently healthy, even though the plant looked dead above. So the roots will have been living on the storage, starches and energy from the base of the palm. Still looking alive, but it's amazing how many roots it put down in a year or two. It was in the ground I think 2 years, 2.5 years. And this whole area is full of roots. I've dug up a lot of these roots, and as you can see they look pretty healthy on the whole. But fortunately the palm itself is no longer able to grow. There are no leaves and no growing points that was alive, so it's time to recycle this. Then in this area we've got a nice planting opportunity for something different. Here in the sunniest, driest part of the garden, where it gets the hottest possible in summer, it gets full sun all throughout the day, from early morning to the end of the day. I'm going to plant this Yorkshire grown from seed Chimerops cerifera palm. It's got beautiful glaucous leaves, very stiff. Doesn't matter if there's any wind, you can cope down to temperatures of at least -10 when larger than this. And I'm going to plant it in my gravel bed. And when I say gravel bed, I mean it's literally gravel. So there's no soil in here. It is pure gravel, 25-30 centimetres, and underneath that is where you've got topsoil, and then below that you've got the clay. So the roots can go down into that soil and get water that it needs, but it means it's all free draining around the base of the palm, so it won't ever sit in water. And if we just look at this palm, we can see it's got absolutely masses and masses of roots, really fleshy, thick roots, ready to dive down into the soil and get up the nutrients and water it needs. And with it being in full sun, it'll promote the maximum growth from this palm that loves the sunny position. And I'm growing it quite close to the edge here, but still allowing 30 centimetres either way for when it grows bigger. Because it will spread out, this palm, it'll grow suckers from the side. You can see there's a few suckers here already, a bit of grass. And this will be like a shrub really, rather than a tall palm. So I've already made a little indentation here in the gravel. I'll dig out a bit further, plant this in, and then just put the gravel around the sides of it. The only soil it's got here is what's in the pot, and then down below the gravel. And there we have the planted palm. Hopefully it'll establish this year and really start motoring into growth next year. And in the same bed we do have a much bigger specimen, which I'll just zoom out of. There we go. That's been in 4 years now, and it's doing really well, so hopefully the smaller one will follow suit. And I've also planted out today this Decilarion, which is on again the bank in by the pond, where it's very dry and gets lots of sun, so hopefully it'll do well in this location and establish. Obviously got a huge yucca curvifolia by the side of it, which will try to swamp over it, but I'll keep that cut back, and hopefully the distillarion will grow big and strong this year.
You may remember that I stored all my seeds in the fridge over winter, and it's time to go back to the fridge and get out the last seeds that I've yet to sow, and actually go out in the garden and sow these seeds.
So let's have a look what's inside. And we have the remaining seeds that have yet to sow this year, and they are all amaranthus. So we've got one that we've bought, and this is Amaranthus Corinthus Hot Biscuits, which has like a beigey, biscuity coloured flowers. So we'll be sowing that, direct sowing. And then we have some seeds that we saved from last year's plants. We've got Amaranthus, and we've also got another Amaranthus. So this is Amaranthus here, is the one with all the seeds that we collected from the pink ones that were sort of like upright, large Amaranthus plants, and then this Amaranthus has the trailing pinky purple flowers. So they're the ones that are droopy, and they're the ones that are more upright. And all these seeds, as you can see, loads have come out. Black rattling seeds. I'm just going to cast over the ground. They'll pop up within a week or so, and then by sort of middle of June they'll be decent sized plants, and then by July they'll be flowering. And you can get an idea of the colour of the flowers of the hot biscuits by looking at the seeds, which are very beigey biscuity colour compared to the purpley pink ones of the other Amaranthus.
What I'm doing here is basically just broadcasting the Amaranthus seeds across these beds that I've previously manured. There is loads of Amaranthus seeds in these beds anyway, but with all the thick manure over, I'm just topping them up and just sprinkling the seeds, and then I'll let the rain just water them in. It'll germinate very quickly.
So this aeonium has been out all winter, through all the weather, with no protection whatsoever, down to like minus 5.9 at worst, and it's survived, and it's amazing that it's survived, where else all the other aeoniums around it, and there's probably 100 or so rosettes, all died, but this one, for whatever reason, made it through. And now I've planted out many other aeoniums that I did overwinter in the greenhouse. So if we look around, I've planted these all out now, so they've just been planted out all around the front. Got several different types, Blushing Beauty being the main one. We've got Schwarzkopf here as well, and Hiriense down here, and these are all planted out. They'll bulk up over the next few weeks and do a really good display for the summer. Well, we've got a lot of jobs done in the garden this weekend. If you did enjoy this video, please subscribe with the link below, and join me next week. We'll be doing more jobs in the garden.